Let's not build the metaverse with the plan to help other platforms accumulate and retain consumers. Let's build the metaverse to keep them from being in the VR business in any meaningful way at all. Come on. Hello and welcome to Thursday Newsday, your number one resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. What a week for virtual reality. Plus, whoa, a brand new update for Quest V34. So Connect just happened, and turns out there's a lot more that happened around Connect that wasn't directly revealed or talked about within the conference. So we'll recap all of that so you're completely updated and in the loop. Also, a guy from Facebook said some bad stuff about the metaverse and keeping other companies out of it. Information on this thing, a refreshed HP Reverb G2 is on its way. We've got so much to talk about, so let's just get right into the news. Oculus Quest update helps you not punch children. Do you find yourself constantly punching real-world children while playing Resident Evil 4 for the millionth time on your Oculus virtual reality headset? Well, Facebook, or excuse me, Meta has you covered with SpaceSense. And yeah, that's V34 just announced yesterday. Sure glad Tuesday Newsday is late, otherwise we wouldn't know about it, I guess. The latest Quest update is rolling out soon with a few pretty cool features like SpaceSense. Coming under experimental features, you can now see when someone or something intrudes on your play space. Pass-through API is also coming to more people. Android users are now getting the same treatment as iOS users, enabling phone notifications within their headset, and there are some new voice commands. Rollout starts pretty soon. Now, let's just start the Connect recap. Every year, Oculus or Facebook hold a big conference to announce new hardware or updates for the VR industry, as well as usually show off some prototype hardware. And this year was quite a bit different, and unless you've been diving into Twitter posts and written updates, there's likely a lot that you missed. Starting off with a big one, Facebook is, of course, changing its name to Meta to reflect its commitment to building the metaverse. And along with this comes big changes for the Oculus brand. No more required Facebook accounts, and a lot more. But let's get through the main announcements first. Meta's first move as Meta was an acquisition, acquiring the VR fitness application Supernatural and announcing an active pack for the Quest 2, turning the Quest into, quote, the best piece of gym equipment it can be, end quote, with new grips and a facial interface. And game announcements were decently exciting as well, as long as you have a Quest. I know this year VR software has been really light, and while we didn't get too much here, it was announced that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas is in development for the Quest 2. Also coming to the Quest 2 is Blade and Sorcery, with mods coming later. Vertigo Games, developer of After the Fall and Arizona Sunshine, have 5 new games in development, somehow. And Beat Saber seems to be getting custom sabers by this couple-second reveal. Also available now are multitask 2D applications for the Quest, like Instagram, with more coming soon, eventually bringing apps like Dropbox and Slack. Kinda makes mobile VR way more functional than it was before, even bringing messenger calls and invites to your headset. Another big update is a change to the home space, now called Horizon Home, where you can soon invite people to a customizable space and jump right into games. Kinda like a baked-in social VR lobby. In terms of hardware announcements though, well, I do gotta admit, I was pretty off regarding a supposed Quest Plus and Quest Pro announcement to come this year. There have been so many very substantial leaks over the past few months. I did truly believe that we were getting a Quest refresh, but we didn't, and that's okay. If you've been holding off buying a headset, good job by the way, you're smart, but now you're good to go get a Quest 2 if you want one. Instead of the announcements that we expected, we got Project Cambria. We only got a very short few second teaser and a few details. It's going to be a high-end VR headset from Meta, which I welcome, containing eye tracking, face tracking, and a new pancake-style lens system. I mean, it all sounds pretty good. We don't know much on it, but Twitter user Basti did find these 3D models of the headset in the firmware. Nice. The headset is set to launch or at least be talked about next year in 2022, and it's already been said to be quite a bit more expensive than the current Quest 2. We don't know the price, and we don't know any other specific details, but those controllers without tracking rings were real, so that's good. A bunch of other stuff like codec avatars were talked about that showed what a 3D scanned hyper-realistic avatar could look like, although I find this pretty uncanny, and I also don't know if I really want to be represented down to the pore in VR, but maybe that's just me, and I guess I could change my mind on that in the future. There was some pretty good stuff though. After Connect on Twitter, it was formally stated that Facebook account logins are leaving Oculus headsets. I don't think anyone really wanted Facebook accounts to be tied to their VR accounts, and as Facebook is now just a Meta service, it wouldn't make sense to tie other Meta products in with a segment segment of their brand. So that's good, small victory in our books. Although you're likely still going to need a Meta account, of course. And this will roll out to work accounts first and then eventually to us. Oh, and the Oculus brand is being retired. Starting slowly next year, the Oculus Quest will be known as the Meta Quest, and services will be known as Meta or Horizon services. F in chat for Oculus, and I would talk on this subject more, but there's really not much else to say. I don't like it, and I think that Oculus is a perfect brand name for Meta's VR hardware, but at least the Oculus name can die in peace with decent memories, I suppose. And all of that was just a portion of the Connect. The rest of it was all talk about the Metaverse, and it was really weird, to be honest. Best way I could put it is it made me feel uneasy. My stomach has honestly been in kind of a pit. I already made a full video on this topic, and I feel it's probably one of the better videos I've made on this channel addressing the good and bad and dystopian of Meta's Metaverse vision and why it's so important to our future. Like, it's arguably the most important thing right now that this doesn't get screwed up or controlled by a single corporation or entity. So if you do want to dive into a bit of futurism and look at why this Metaverse is such a big deal, just pause this video, go watch it, then come back, because the next part will make a lot more sense. Here is reason number 10 billion why you shouldn't trust any corporation regardless of how much you like their services. Even if you completely agree with Meta's vision of an open metaverse, which, by the way it was described is not actually open, Meta would still maintain primary control. But here's a shocking 2018 internal Facebook paper from Jason Rubin, the now VP of Metaverse products at Meta, pitching the Metaverse to the company. He said, quote, "The Metaverse is ours to lose, and let's not build the Metaverse with the plan to help other platforms accumulate and retain consumers. Let's build the Metaverse to keep them from being in the Metaverse in any meaningful way at all." End quote. Come on. Can it be any clearer? Meta is not your friend. Google is not your friend. Amazon is not your friend. Shoot, Valve is not your friend. We can use these services, but these are all just corporations and they will act as such. It's just how these entities are. It's half the system and not the players, but you still gotta look at the whole picture. Jason Rubin has since retracted that vision, saying it was one of many visions and they have grown past that towards an open metaverse. And okay, sure, I guess. I think I'll just stick to my vision of a decentralized metaverse with no entity and direct control and support those projects instead, because this is just flying way too close to the sun. But now it's time for a meme break. I haven't met a single person that likes the Facebook rebrand. Oh, that was pretty cheesy. How about some feta? Okay, back to the news. Another bit of Facebook news. They recently announced that they will be shutting down their facial recognition services and deleting the face data of 1 billion users. This is after a few costly lawsuits, including one from Illinois that cost the company $650 million after being found collecting biometric data on its users without proper consent, and a $5 billion fee from the FTC regarding privacy concerns. And this seems like another small victory, but I do want to mention that they are not completely shutting down the service. They mentioned they are shutting it down for Facebook, but Meta isn't Facebook, and Meta services aren't Facebook services. This does mean, however, that faces will no longer be recognized in Facebook posts, and you will not be automatically analyzed. I suggest that we keep a close eye on this. If executed and handled properly, this is a positive move for privacy. But if it's just being used for other Meta services without people's consent again, then nothing really changed. Microsoft seems to be joining the Metaverse party, announcing its own big plans for a corporate Metaverse using its mesh technology, AR and VR and computers and phones all together for people to work and have meetings together. Interesting thing here, mesh is actually open source, at least somewhat, and it's cloud native, and it's meant to bring people together from any service or application regardless of hardware. It's not built on the fundamental decentralized idea, I imagine, but I also imagine Microsoft and Meta will be clashing quite a bit in the coming years on their own visions of the metaverse. You may remember the HP Reverb G2 that launched just about a year ago, the G2 practically being the last bastion of Windows mixed reality headsets. And it's actually a pretty good headset, rocking a resolution of 2160 by 2160, pretty good contrast ratio, good microphone, and the same off-ear speakers that are on the Valve Index. All in all, it was and is a pretty good VR headset, and it's a very clear viewing experience. But it did suffer from a few pretty big problems. Well, HP just announced that they will be refreshing the Reverb G2 starting immediately, meaning if you buy a G2 now, it will be an improved version over the one launched last year. I guess being an early early adopter really does suck. But also, these upgrades are better now than never. New controllers increase the tracking precision and vertical tracking volume by 30%, reportedly resolving all blind spots below the waist and above the head. A new improved cable will be included, also bringing better AMD support, and a new face gasket system allows for a spacer to be removed, bringing the lenses closer to your eyes for a slightly better viewing experience and wider field of view, all for the same price of $600. I can review the updated G2 if I see enough requests here. I mean, at this point it seems like a pretty hyper-budget Vario Aero, but a few things still hold the G2 back from being my personal everyday headset, like the lack of Steam VR tracking and lack of capacitive sensors on the controllers. But I could see this being a pretty good, affordable headset for a specific type of user. Now it's time for question of the week from A. How realistic do you think VR will get? I think in very futurist ideals, and sometimes to a bit of a fault, but it's okay. Eventually, the distinction between what we think of as reality and virtual reality will likely dissolve. I find it somewhat inevitable, maybe not within our lifetimes, but eventually. I'll be making an entire video eventually on why I think this is inevitable, and I think you'll have a clearer image of why I think this way. And the only ways I can truly see this not happening is if we as humans decide not to cross that bridge and purposely hold back our technology, or we end up blowing each other up and regress society. Otherwise, we better accept virtual reality as a big part of our reality. I do want to be clear, I am not a technophobe, far from it. I welcome the exploration of reality distortion technology, and I welcome all of the conversations that come along with that. And that's question of the week. Leave your own below, and I may just answer yours next. I'll be streaming on Twitch today, like always after these videos, so stop on by and say what's up. Also, join up in my Discord if you want to talk about VR in cool ways. Thanks to my Patreon supporters, especially my Omegas. I couldn't do any of this without you, and don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Thrill out.